Hey guys, it's Jason with The Brook. I grew up and I was not that great at sports. See, I was kind of like a jack of all trades, master of none. I was an okay golfer. I could make a free throw every once in a while, but I could still play some defense. I wasn't good in football. I could run a little bit. I was just okay at every sport. And growing up, I was always a little insecure. I'm like, I wish I was really good at just one thing. I even remember going to football camp in like sixth grade, and I got an award at the end of the camp, and it was the best backpedaler. And then I looked back a few years later and realized they gave every single person an award, and they probably just were like, oh, you're great at backpedaling. I wasn't that great. And what was kind of tough throughout high school, I kind of felt that with my academics. I felt like I was pretty good at everything, but I didn't know what I was great at. And as I went into college, I started trying a lot of different things. I was gonna be a biology, pre-med doctor someday. And as I went through my first semester, I realized I'm not good at biology. And then I go into finance. I'm like, okay, I can do some math. I'm a decent communicator. I'm a C+ leader. So maybe I could do something in the business sector. And as I graduated college, I just didn't know what I was gonna be good at. And so what I started to do is I just started to try a lot of things. And I really do believe this is what our 20s is made for, and our 30s even, to try a lot of things and ask, what can we be the best in the world at? What can we be the best in our field at? What can we contribute? How can we use our unique ability better than we thought we could, or have an influence bigger than we ever thought we would? That saying I said, jack of all trades, master of none, actually was never intended to be used that way. It's kind of derogatory, like you're kind of good at a little bit of everything, but you're really not good at anything. It was actually meant to be jack of all trades, master of one. Really, what that saying is supposed to mean is that you should try a lot of things and see what you can master. I want to ask you, are you using your life right now to try a lot of things? To go, okay, I want to develop as a leader. I want to develop my ability. So I want to try a lot of things to see what God has made me to be and how I can use my ability to influence and impact others. And at The Brook, we love looking into our own leadership and our own development, but we always like to look through it in the perspective of Jesus. See, I believe Jesus was the greatest leader ever to live. Here's why I say that. Leadership is influence. It's who do you influence? And Jesus has influenced more people. He has over 2 billion followers on planet Earth right now, 2,000 years after his death. So he's had billions and billions of followers, giving him the most influence. So I would say he's a great leader. But today I just want to look at Jesus's leadership. And so he had this time period in the Bible where we see him as a baby in Bethlehem. Then we see him as kind of a young adult, like 12, 13 in the temple. And then we don't really hear anything about him till he's 30. But the last thing we hear about him is in Luke 2:52. It says this. It says, and Jesus increased in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and man. So what we know about Jesus from the age of 12 to 30 is he did 4 things to develop, to really come into his own leadership, to figure out how he was going to impact the world. And there are these 4 things. And so the 4 things, the first thing is he increased in wisdom. Jesus became wise. He learned all the things that society had to offer. He learned the teachers of the day. I want to challenge you. Maybe these 4 things could be applicable to you right now as you are in your 20s, or maybe you're in your 30s and you're going, okay, how do I develop as a leader? How do I become a master? 1, become wise. We have such amazing access to so much information. It's so funny. I can Google and YouTube anything now, how to do something. We can get so much information, but sometimes information doesn't equate to wisdom. Wisdom is really taking information and then actually real world testing it out. One of the best ways for me to grow my wisdom has just been reading wise thinkers, reading people that follow after the Bible, reading people that are just very intelligent. And I always think of this when I'm looking into reading a book or listening to someone. I'm like, okay, is this a new theory that no one's ever tested? Or has this actually been field tested? Do they have experience in this? Does this person actually know what they're talking about? So I would challenge you, maybe you need to grow in wisdom in your life right now. You need to read some books and then actually put it to practice and apply what you learn in your reading. Or maybe watch a YouTube video or go to a podcast. We hope that this can actually also help you develop in wisdom in our Instagram. Secondly, what did he do? He increased in stature. Basically, Jesus went from a boy to becoming a man. He grew physically. And for all of us, we go through this time when we're like 18 and we kind of develop from adolescence to adults. And then those next few years, I don't know if you've caught this, like when I was 18, I literally went to college and I think I ate fast food every single night at like midnight. I would go through a drive-through. And if you continue on that road for the next 10, 15, 20 years, you're not gonna like how you look physically. One of the things that we can do as we develop in our 20s and 30s is we set habits for ourselves physically by working out, by eating properly, by getting enough sleep, by doing the things that actually give our body the energy. And God made us. It says that our body is a temple and that we're actually supposed to treat our body well so that we can be able to step into everything God has for us. So as we develop, we should develop habits in our lives that actually help us physically. Number 3, it says that he grew in favor with God. Basically, he grew spiritually. He dove deep into his relationship with God. At the Brook, we're not about a religion, we're about relationship. And we really believe that every single person can have a relationship with God. If you've never experienced a relationship with God, and if you don't know if you have one or not, you would know if you have one. You don't know if you don't have a girlfriend or not. You know if you have one. You know you are in a relationship. A relationship with God, there's this deep connection. And that's how Jesus felt with God. He grew in that and he stepped into it and it shaped every single aspect of who he is. So at the Brook, we believe that God is not just supposed to be pigeonholed in this part of your life, but it's supposed to be in every part of your life. And that when we investigate and we allow God and that relationship to be in our lives, it will transform us as people and as leaders. And the fourth thing that it says that Jesus increased in was his favor with man. Basically, he got connected socially. He learned how to have a conversation. He learned how to connect with people, how to love for people, how to not be selfish, even though he was perfect, so he never was selfish, but he knew how to treat people. He knew how to connect with people. When Jesus walked in, it was a party. I mean, everywhere you look, Jesus had people attracting to him. Why was that? He was magnetic. He was winsome. He just had this oozing out of him. It's because in his early years, he grew in favor with people. I would encourage you, what step do you need to take if you're in your 20s or your 30s to develop to be that master of one thing? What of those 4 things do you need to develop in? Wisdom. Is it your physical life? Is it your spiritual life? Or is it your social life? At the Brook, our hope is that we can bring all these parts of life and navigate them together as young adults, young leaders, and that we might live the life that God has intended for us.